Hi, my name is Melissa Fellman, and you are all about to witness a unique adventure that I experienced. From March 13th to March 20th, I traveled to New Orleans, Louisiana, sometimes called NOLA, with 11 other University of Maryland students to intensely study about the criminal justice system. This alternative spring break trip has been held through Maryland's Hillel for many years, but recently, about 3 years ago, shifted its focus from rebuilding houses for Katrina victims to studying about the mass incarceration rate. Ever since coming to college, I've always strived to challenge myself to take advantage of all the various opportunities that Maryland has, especially going on different trips that are offered through the school. I first found out about this trip through one of the student leaders, Nachmi. Now, I knew that I wanted to go on an alternative spring break trip because I'm passionate about making a positive impact on society. I love to learn, and of course I love to meet new people. I really like to travel, so I knew that I wanted to go somewhere I'd never been, and New Orleans seemed like the perfect place. Being a business major, I really had no idea about the criminal justice system, and I had no idea that Louisiana had such a large mass incarceration rate. So when Nachmi mentioned the trip, naturally I jumped on the chance to apply. I had to fill out a short application through the Hillel website, and then I had an interview with Nachmi and one of the other student leaders, Liat. After going through about a 30-45 minute interview, they narrowed down their pool from a group of over 20 students to only a group of 11.
Quickly, I learned none of the people on my trip were criminal justice majors or even studying law. We were all interested in the subject for different reasons. Like I said before, being a business major, I did not have much expertise in the criminal justice field. I've never known anyone who has gone to jail or has been through the incarceration system. However, I've always been passionate about civil rights and making a positive impact on the community around me. Once I learned that New Orleans had the highest incarceration rate in the United States, I became extremely interested in using this trip to uncover the reasoning behind this major problem. The criminal justice system is an integral part of society that many people overlook, and my mission on this week-long journey is to bring light to this daunting reality.
Let's first start with the facts. Louisiana is the world's prison capital. Louisiana's incarceration rate is nearly 5 times Iran's, 13 times China's, and 20 times Germany's. According to the Times-Picayune of New Orleans, 1 in 86 adults are serving time in the state. Among minorities, the statistics are even worse. Among black males living in New Orleans, 1 in 14 is serving a prison sentence. 1 in 7 are currently behind bars, out on patrol, or on probation. Locking up large amounts of African American men is no accident. It is driven by profit, politics, and power. Even though crime rates are high in Louisiana, that does not begin to explain the massive amounts of the population who are locked up each year. Consequences for breaking the law in Louisiana are much more harsh than punishments in other states. Sentences of several decades or even life for nonviolent crimes are very common. Louisiana is the only state that automatically sentences murderers to life without parole. The Times-Picayune reports that more than 300 people are serving life without parole even though they've never been convicted of a violent crime. For example, they have a 3-strike penalty no matter how severe the crime is. A trio of drug convictions can prompt a lifetime sentence without parole. 3 nonviolent crimes, such as burglaries, can mean automatic life without parole. With all this in mind, my 13-person group set out to really dive deep into this topic many of us were so disconnected with. The trip was planned in chronological order and spanned from the pre-prison pipeline to the incarceration system to the re-entry period. We first started with exploring the neighborhood to see how people in New Orleans live. We explored everything from the tourist spots on Bourbon Street to the most heavily affected location by Katrina called the Lower 9th Ward.
On the second day, we really dove into looking at the juvenile population. We visited Cafe Reconcile, which is an organization that helps young adults from extreme at-risk communities who are willing to create a change in their lives. The participants go through an 8-week program where they learn how to work in a restaurant as well as everyday life skills. If someone successfully completes the program, they will receive an interview for a 3-month internship at a local restaurant, which could potentially turn into a permanent job. After seeing how this program is changing youth, we went to a juvenile court to meet with a judge, prosecutor, and defense attorney. They all agreed that the education system needs to change in order to create a better foundation for youth. Also, one of the most powerful events took place during this visit. As we were leaving the court, a young African American boy was being escorted by a guard away from his mother and grandparents. His hands and ankles both had shackles on them. He was softly weeping while his family was comforting him. All I could think of in this moment was how helpless he looked.
Who knows what he did to end up in this position, but it was still heartbreaking to think about how his family's lives were being torn apart and what type of future this boy was going to have. To see the incarceration system firsthand, we traveled to Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women where we toured the facilities. As we walked around, I felt as if the women were on display. Even though the prison has a lot of programs to rehabilitate women with short sentences, there weren't that many for women with long sentences. Hearing real prisoners' testimonies about their crimes and lives in prison was really emotional and eye-opening. It just reaffirmed my goals of wanting to help those with less fortunate circumstances. To learn about re-entry, we went to the New Orleans mission and heard from a man recently released from prison after 33 years. This man told us of his experiences in prison, and it was amazing how he survived in such dehumanizing conditions for so long. The New Orleans mission is helping people like him and other homeless population receive meals, shelter, and guidance to be able to re-engage into society. These were just some of the highlights on my week-long adventure in New Orleans. Even though I did not realize when I signed up, this educational trip linked to my personal and career interests for the future. I want to make a positive impact on the community around me, which I've done by educating myself and others on such an overlooked topic. Prejudice is still a looming problem in Louisiana, and it is going to take a large cultural change to fix the incarceration system. I feel personally fulfilled knowing I am helping to make a change by bringing awareness to this issue. Also, in whatever career path my life takes me, I want to be working for a company with a give-back culture. I'm not sure if the criminal justice system is something I will dabble in, but I do know that I want to work to change societal issues. This could be as little as my company fundraising for a charity, or even bigger as planning company trips to help those less fortunate in other countries. Through my last 2 years in the Business Society and Economy Scholars Program, I have been encouraged to step out of my comfort zone and try new things. On this trip, I got to dabble in something I was not familiar with and was exposed to a lot of new experiences. I'm very thankful for this experience and hope I can continue to educate myself on societal issues in order to create positive change for the future.